Meet Leah Tennant, ex-yachty and Washdown founder, with some shocking facts.
You're using those cleaning chemicals yourself, it absorbs into your skin, and then after daily exposure, like we have on super yachts, it then damages your main organs. So for example, like your kidney, bladder and your liver, which again is a crazily alarming fact.
This week, we discover the hidden dangers of yacht cleaning products.
They were using degreasers in the engine room and they got it mixed up with one of the deck products, and he started to use it during a washdown and he had all burns all on his legs from the products.
And the small changes that can make a big difference.
How do you weigh that up? Because a person's life and the environment should come first.
Because when it comes to protecting ourselves and the environment, we should all be on the same wavelength. So, Leah, welcome to Wavelength. It's wonderful to have you here. We met, a little while ago now, I think. And then you came down to us at Monaco Yacht Show with some of your products Washdown. But you actually started in yachting yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, so I originally started in yachting when I was 19 years old. So I did a cadetship at UKSA to do the OOW, the Officer of the Watch. And then I actually came to Antibes when I was 19 and started my journey. So originally dock walking, and then I worked on yachts until I was 24, 25 years old.
So you were one of those young people that we have literally turning up to the office. Now is the time of year where we had them coming in, giving us their CVs and doing that dock walking experience. Okay, and what were you on board yachts then? Were you an officer of the watch?
So I actually left just before I did my OOW. So I was a deckhand and a bosun.
Oh, fantastic. Because we don't see many female deckhands, unfortunately. Hopefully we're seeing a few more of them. So was it that deckhand experience doing washdowns that led you to create Washdown, the company?
Yeah, of course. So obviously working on yachts, all that you're doing the majority of the time, obviously every day, is cleaning, and you're obviously exposed to a lot of cleaning chemicals, and everything, as you know, has to be perfection and right and correct for the guests. And it was really in that, and as I progressed in my career in yachting, as you get to a higher level and you're actually looking at the data sheets of the products that we were using, and it was saying, for example, on the boat soap, using this on a daily basis causes respiratory issues and cancer. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I have to admit, before you came in, I was in our kitchen and I looked at the back of some of the cleaning products.
Yeah.
And there are warning signs. There are those little, red triangles, red diamonds with corrosive and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm I never wear gloves when I clean with these. That's really bad.
Yeah.
So did you kind of experience did you start to notice?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the boats that I worked on that was 90 metres, so one of the second officers was really persistent in all of us knowing about the chemicals that we were using and also the effects of those chemicals. For example, if it was to spill in your eye, you would naturally put, for example, water in your eye to wash it out, whereas with some chemicals, it would react negatively. And he'd had it previously on a boat where they'd done that and it had damaged somebody's eyes. So we started to look at it from that perspective, and then it started to go into more detail. And it's something that we were questioning on board when we were saying, well, why are we using these products and why is there not a better way of doing it? And the answers were, when we came to the first officer about it, was, oh, well, it's always been done this way. There's nothing, there's no other alternatives that we can use at the moment that are strong enough to get it done. And that's one of the main really driving forces for it, and to be able to protect obviously my friends that are still working on yachts. And then it's just come from there, really.
So I was going to ask, if we know that they're bad,
why
are we still using them? But if people don't know that there are other products out there,
I think it's massively education. And even with myself, with actually starting Washdown, I didn't really know what you're saying, for example, with the warning symbols, what each different warning symbol would mean. And for example, you have the one that I'm sure you've probably seen on the back of the bottle with a dead fish on the bottom, which means acute toxicity. And a lot of those products will have VOCs in them or other harmful chemicals. And there's something that we use on a daily basis. And it comes down to regulations. And as I did and as you do the same, you trust the people that you're buying products from and the people that are putting products out there into the environment to actually protect the user that's using them and buying them, and also the environment. And unfortunately, it's not the case.
And you mentioned the VOCs.
Yeah.
And there's some of the really harmful products and clean products. What exactly are VOCs?
So VOCs stands for volatile organic compounds, and they are a chemical that are in cleaning products that basically turns the cleaning product into gas and evaporates into the air. On the other side, if you wash it into the environment, like into the ocean, like you would do if you're using boat soaps and other chemicals on board, it then suffocates the environment and harms the plankton in the ocean. And a good way of finding out whether a product has VOCs in it, and a really easy, like foolproof way, is if the product has a strong fragrance. So, for example, if you're using products that smell or have a synthetic fragrance, that's a strong indicator that they have VOCs in them. And then it's also found in degreasers, and then like the breakdowns of degreasers. So it's like the chemicals that they use in that, in traditional chemical degreasers. And you also find them in some essential oils, which actually really shocked me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think about my essential oils.
So yeah, when you're using essential oils for cleaning, because it's something that we looked into when we were setting up Washdown. So all of our products we use biotechnology. So it's got like microbial control and enzymes, and that's a natural way of breaking down like dirt and grime, and it keeps on cleaning. But yeah, we looked into, for example, oils, and I also looked into fragrances because I wanted the cleaning products to smell nice.
Yeah.
And this was one of the main things that came up. And when we were working with a bioscientist, he was like, no, if you want it to be VOC free, then you can't have chemicals like that in it, and fragrances, as it's a large contributor to it.
It's interesting that you mentioned degreasers, because I was speaking to one of my colleagues here the other day, was saying about the fact that you were coming on to speak, and she was telling me about when she was going through a shipyard period, and they basically, what can the chef do? Well, the chef can degrease all the kitchen, and she got given this product to degrease everything, and she's like, if this is what it is doing to the ovens, to these spaces, and get rid of all of this grease, what do you think it's doing to my hands? And she was like, it stripped the oil from my hands, because oil is a essential thing that you actually have in your skin. She was just like, it just stripped everything away. But you don't really think about that when you're going to go do the cleaning.
Yeah, so exactly that with your skin, and that's a fact that not many people really think about, but your skin is your largest organ. So anytime you touch a surface where those chemicals have been used on, or if you're using those cleaning chemicals yourself, it absorbs into your skin. And then after daily exposure, like we have on super yachts, like you've had from a young child up till now, it then damages your main organs. So for example, like your kidney, bladder, and your liver, which again is a crazily alarming fact. And like speaking on degreasers, we had it. A friend of mine actually is working on a yacht, and he just left. They were using degreasers in the engine room, and they got it mixed up with one of the deck products. And he started to use it during a washdown, and he had all burns all on his legs from the products.
Oh my God! Because as well, like when you mix products as well, you might clean with one product. Well, it's not clean enough, I'll put another product on it. It's causing chemical reactions that then those products are becoming corrosive as well. So it's not even just like how you use a singular product, it's how you're using multiple products on top of each other.
Of course.
And I had a bit of a like childhood flashback when I was looking at the Washdown campaign around VOX, and it's like, I remember mentioning VOX when I was younger at school, and they were talking about acid rain.
Yeah.
And it was such a big thing. I think in the 90s, we were all talking about acid rain and how terrible it is. And I'm like, and we're still using those products.
Exactly. And it's like, even if you look at places like Dubai, the smog in Dubai, again, that's one of the main causes from VOCs. And obviously, if you think about the air quality, like when you're inside a yacht, and obviously you're in confined spaces, you're in cabins, guest cabins, you're in the galley, you're again all in confined spaces where you've not got much ventilation to those VOCs. And there's been studies as well that it actually affects like your sleep quality. And then the short-term side effects are side effects like becoming dizzy, nauseous, memory loss, like brain fog, which are obviously things that people do experience on board. And a lot of the time we link to it to other issues. And then the long-term damages of using these products are like I was mentioning earlier, for example, like kidney problems, damaging your liver, your gut health as well. It really damages your gut, which is obviously so scary, as so many of us take gut supplements, and it's such a buzzword at the moment, but it really does control everything from your mood, your concentration, to how you work. Yeah.
And you said that we tend to attribute things like dizziness and things to something else. And I suppose the long-term effects as well will attribute to so many different things, because it's a little thing that's building up over time.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to kind of say that was because of cleaning
No,
products.
of course.
But it's definitely a contributing factor. Yeah, I'm trying to think about yacht crew now, and like, you know, sometimes your deckhands walking on these surfaces barefoot as well.
Yeah.
And you are just constantly touching these surfaces that have these products on them, and then they're all being washed into the ocean as well. And you said, I can't remember what it was you told me at Monaco Yacht Show, that some of these using the products is close to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day.
Yeah, so there's studies, a Norwegian university did a study, and they found that using these products in a commercial setting like we do on super yachts has the same health effect as smoking 20 cigarettes a day, which is insane.
Every time you say that, I love it. That producer Margot's just like, yeah. We were going back home and emptying our cupboards, but like cleaning products.
But it's so scary because you don't think about it. And I was guilty of it the same when we were working on yachts. You've not got like a lot of time. You want things to be done properly, and like you're just consistently looking at the next thing or working on the next thing, but you actually don't take a step back to reflect about your own health and actually the long-term effect that that's going to have on you, as well as the guests. And we're working in a high-end environment, and I just think, yeah, it's time for change.
So you must have done a huge amount of research in order to come up with these products. So what was that like, trying to figure out what you can actually use?
Of course.
You've disregarded essential oils that some of us bathe in. So we're all kind of terrified in here right now. What was that process like?
So that process, it was exactly that. And like what I was speaking to you about earlier is, obviously we looked at essential oils, we were looking at plant-based products, but that's again one of the reasons why I started Washdown, is because there were some plant-based products available on yachts, but they weren't working well enough to do what we were doing. And then that's why I came across biotechnology, and we were working with a bioscientist at the time, but even then still trying to work with, for example, the enzymes and the bacteria, and we have microbial control in all of the products. So obviously getting your head around that, obviously I'm not a scientist, so working with them on that side. And then there was different options for example, ingredients that you can put in. So for example, surfactants, which are again a massive contributor to like harsh chemicals that aren't good for you or the environment. So going through that process of actually looking at what's the effect of these on the environment, what one has the minimal effect, like the most minimal effect, but then is still effective enough to clean. So we went for a really long stage really of that. So it was about a year almost of us just going back and forth, working on different formulas, checking that the formulas worked, sending them across to yacht crew to trial it out on board. But yeah, it really was an educational experience, but it also made me realise how there's just no excuse to be putting these harsh chemicals in cleaning products. And the only real reason for that either comes down to cost and affordability.
And I suppose as well, like you were saying there, you're using enzymes. Enzymes are organisms.
Yeah.
You then have to think about organisms going into the oceans, etc. as well. So you really want to choose something that's going to, satisfy the personal health, satisfy the environmental health, and then having to do that in a cost-effective way. Because I think we have all been very much used to the fact that if you want something that is environmentally healthy and personally healthy, there is a cost that comes with that as well. Did you run into that when you were kind of producing?
Yeah, definitely. And it's definitely something that we've come across, and especially like with the ingredients that we use, and again with packaging and the overall cost of what that was of the making the products itself. But then we've really tried to, as we've like grown, is like cost that effectively. So whether it's things we have to order things in bulk to reduce the cost of it, and how we actually source the materials and where we source them from to bring down cost in that way. But I think you can look at monetary cost, or you can look at the cost of what you're having on people's lives and the environment. And it's actually how do you weigh that up, because a person's life and the environment should come first. And then also with the end product, we've also made it so that it is cost effective and it still competes with those products. And that is due to our concentration rates. And if we weren't selling it in concentrated solutions, our cost and performance wouldn't be at that level. So that is a way for us that we've managed to get around it. Whereas if you're selling single standard products, and this is what a lot of big chemical companies do, is they sell it and there's this much solution in the actual bottle and the rest is water. Whereas because we have highly concentrated 1 litres that we sell like that, it reduces the actual overall cost for us.
So, I mean, there's a lot of people out there who will be thinking, okay, but do natural products really do the same job?
Yeah, so with regards to performance, again, that's a massive stigma around cleaning products and eco-friendly cleaning products. And to be honest, that stigma has come with a reputation for a reason, but that's also because there wasn't enough research into those products at that time. So they were obviously like weaker plant-based products and some oil-based products. But with biotechnology and the research that's gone into that, and the fact that you are using enzymes and like for example, we have microbial control in all of our solutions. So it actually carries on breaking down the dirt after the initial clean. And then it almost leaves like a little microbial film across the surface. So for example, if that was on metal and then, for example, you had debris going off, it would stop the metal from being tarnished. And it's the same, for example, on marble. We've actually had a client recently that they couldn't find anything to use on marble floor as a degreaser that would also stop it from being like slippy. And again, so our products, they've actually swapped out their chemical products
because
for ours.
Almost like the third factor. You've got like the personal health factor, you've got the environmental factor, and then you've got the vessel itself. Because these products can damage
of course,
the materials that run the vessel.
Yeah.
But cleaning a vessel is so incredibly essential for the continued performance, not just the surface areas, but obviously the exterior itself as well. So your products have to also think about, whether it's on metal, whether it's on marble, etc. So you must have to have like different products for those different surfaces as well.
Yeah, so we basically, what we've done throughout our range is made all of the products pH neutral, except for one of them, which is basically like a lime scale remover that removes watermarks, which obviously it can't be pH neutral. But how we've tried to do it is so that we have, for example, our detailing spray. So where that's pH neutral, you can use it on glass, you can use it on marble, you can use it on all paint coatings. So we've tried to really make it versatile across those uses. And then the same with our, for example, graft. It's a degreaser that you can use as a floor cleaner on marble and on interior surfaces, or obviously hard surfaces. But it's the same, they can use it on deck. And it works on, for example, if you're using it on synthetic teak, like you can just spray it on and wipe it off. But yeah, again, it's looking at the different materials that are being used and how you actually protect those materials. And that's another thing that a lot of people don't think about, or they try to use more natural options, like, for example, vinegar. Some crews use vinegar on the windows, but obviously then that deteriorates the lining on the surfaces of the windows. So then you're actually deteriorating the vessel.
I didn't know that. I did. Like, people say things to me, and I'm like, I've got to go home and clean that out. But I have to admit, I am not a clean freak. I don't particularly enjoy cleaning. That's why my other half
does all the cleaning.
He enjoys it. He likes it. It's fine. Like literally, he'll go back over the cleaning.
Yeah,
that's right. I know you. But he uses vinegar a lot. But that can actually
so we used to use it on one of the first boats that I was on, and again, because they didn't want to use other harsh chemicals on the windows, and it was the most natural thing at the time that we could use. But one, I just remember my hands constantly being in it because we were using it to clean the windows, and it absolutely stinks.
It stinks our whole place out, and it makes me crave fish and chips. That's what it does.
So yeah, it's also abrasive. So if they're using it like on a daily basis on the windows and the protection that they've got on the glass on super yachts, then it basically contaminates the glass and will start to break down the lining on the glass.
And it's things that you're not going to necessarily see, like you do that once and you're going to see it.
No, 100%.
But it's something that's going to kind of build up over time, and then suddenly you're going to be like, oh, I wonder why that's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
But now we know that
100%.
This is why that is happening.
Yeah.
And then it's same environmentally as well.
Yeah.
Because you might be on a vessel and like, well, I'm one vessel.
Yeah.
And this is one cleaning product that's bad, or two cleaning products that's bad. It's okay. And I'm washing it down with water, so I'm diluting it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But that's eventually building up and doing serious damage to our oceans
Of
as well,
course.
isn't it?
Of course. And I think that is one of the big problems as well. I think because people don't see it right in front of them happening right now, they don't think that it is happening. Yeah, so with regards to the environment, and I think this is a big factor as well, which we have well, you can't see it happening to you right now. And just because it's not happening to you directly, it doesn't mean that that's not going on. And the scariest fact is obviously the ocean makes up more than 51% of our oxygen. And like VOCs and chemicals like that are one of the largest contributors to ocean suffocation. And it's not a fact of, oh, shall we do it? Or it's okay if we don't do it. Yeah. In the long time, it's going to affect our families and our children. And it's also our careers. All of us have had careers off of the back of the ocean and working on super yachts or in the marine sector. And mostly because we love it. Like we all love going, for example, diving, or you love going swimming, and you love doing all of these things and cruising. But what are we going to do when we can't do that anymore because we've polluted it that much and we've not taken care of it?
I'm just thinking as well, like that concept of removing oxygen from the ocean.
Yeah.
We have Matt from Washdown coming on soon. He's going to be talking about whale conservation. I just think about whales in the ocean, majestic creatures, but obviously large creatures require a large amount of oxygen. And it sounds dramatic, but we are effectively suffocating.
We are every time you wash something over the side of the boat that's not eco-friendly and it's not sustainable, you are suffocating the ocean. It harms the plankton in the ocean, and it is again like one of the largest contributors to that, which is insane. I'm so sad when you actually think about it.
It gives us so much, and
we're just trashing it. Yeah,
and I mean, I suppose there's some people who will also say, these are big vessels, considering the effects of fuel and things within the ocean as well. Is changing my cleaning products really going to have that much of an effect?
Yeah, well, I believe obviously people are still obviously going to have super yachts, and that's not something that we can say, okay, nobody's allowed super yachts anymore. And that's never going to happen.
That's never going to happen.
Exactly. But I think if you can actually protect the ocean whilst people are still doing that, and give them options to actually decrease the effect that is having on the environment, then that is the right thing to do. And it is obviously where you're washing things every single day into the environment. Yeah, I understand you're using fuel on a 90-meter, 80-meter yacht that's obviously not sustainable, but it's how do you make that more sustainable? Because you're not going to be able to stop people from doing that, but how do you allow them to make better decisions whilst doing that?
So for those people who are kind of on board right now and grabbing their cleaning products and looking at the back of them, what kind of things should they be looking out for on those labels?
Yeah, so I would look at the phosphates. I would also look at the fragrances is one of the biggest ones for sure. And then I would also look at the warning labels. Obviously, if it has like toxicity labels on the back, or it has, for example, like the burning labels, which you'll be able to see on there, I would just steer clear of using them. And obviously the same as the acute like toxicity to aquatic life, especially if you're on a boat.
I mean, I suppose some people might be like, well, I'm using it, but I'm using it on the interior, so I'm fine.
But no, because it still gets, realistically, if you're using it on the interior, you're spraying that or you're wiping it onto something that then still goes into the air. Or if you're using it to clean bathrooms, it still goes down the drain, which ultimately ends up in the sea.
Wow. And so how we've said about the fragrances being like a factor, an indicating factor.
Yeah.
How do you keep Washdown products smelling nice if we can't put fragrances?
No, of course. So we don't actually have any fragrances in the Washdown formulations. So the only, for example, natural smell in it is actually from the mix of the formulation itself. But where it is biotechnology, it actually prevents, like, for example, like smells and odors. So when you use a standard chemical cleaning product, or like an air freshener, for example, it doesn't actually get rid of the smell. It just masks it. Whereas our products actually clean the dirt and the grime, and it breaks down the odors or the bacteria that are making that smell, which then stops it from smelling.
So again, it's about using those enzymes and things that actually break it down instead of just kind of thinking you're wiping it away or spraying it away.
Yeah.
But do you ever have problems that people kind of using the products I'm thinking back to when we started to get rid of palm oil. There's still a lot of palm oil within cleaning products. But palm oil goes in cleaning products because it foams. And people like their cleaning products to kind of foam and that sort of thing, which is what some of these phosphates and things do as well. They foam up and they make you feel like you're cleaning something. Do you run into those problems?
Yeah, of course. And again, it comes down to educating people on why those products foam and actually the impact of that. And why, because again, like I would have thought the same if it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I'd have been like, oh, well, it's not working. Like with boat soap, for example, like you want the boat soap to foam so that you can see where you're cleaning. So it's getting a mix of that, but it's also around education and then showing people like how and why and how to use those products in a way that is effective.
So what sort of thing can they look out for that's actually a positive thing on cleaning labels?
Yeah, so a positive thing on cleaning labels, I would look out, for example, if it says VOC-Free on it, if it says that it's safe for release into the environment or safe for aquatic life, that would be another big one. And then, just steering clear of any like harmful toxins on the labels. And then also, look, this is the other hard thing because then you have some products that obviously greenwash as well. So I would look for the main things about being VOC-free. If they say on there that, for example, they're safe for children or they're safe for release into the environment, those are normally key factors that those products are safe.
Do vegan products necessarily mean good for health and environment?
No, so vegan products, a lot of them, obviously, they don't contain, ingredients in them that are either from like animals or testing and that are natural. But again, it's depending on what kind of natural products that you're using and the combinations of those ingredients. So again, when you come to look at fragrances, I wanted to put natural fragrances in there, but then it's still, when you're combining it with certain chemicals, it counts as VOCs.
So it's like that education as well around what's in it and how you use it as well. I know you guys do a lot of work on how to use the different products and where to use those different products as well. So that's part of kind of the Washdown philosophy as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for us, the main point of me when I was developing the products is obviously I spent a lot of time on yachts cleaning, and I'm the same. I don't love cleaning, which is ironic for a lady that's got a cleaning brand. But just things like, for example, like when you're doing the morning setup at like 5 a.m. in the morning and the windows are smearing and they keep on smearing and you can't get the smear out of them. So that's something that we really wanted to incorporate into the brand, was to make the products easier. So all of our products have streak-free technology. So if you use it on glass, you literally spray it on and wipe it straight off. And it's just incorporating things like that, which is going to improve the quality of one of the people that are using it. But it's also going to make people want to make that change. And I don't think you can offer a sustainable product or tell people that they need to swap unless it performs better than the products that they're already using, or at least on par.
I'm not going to make you name like the bad products because I think we'll get sued or something. Are there products that you know of that are being used on board, with the exception of Washdown, that are safe to use that you kind of recommend for people?
Yeah, so there's definitely like some of the eco-friendly products I would say that are safe. And then I would say the main like harmful ones are like when you go to look at, for example, like degreasers, some of the boat soaps. But I would say they're the main ones that are the most harmful, and to look out for those. And also window cleaners and products that have, for example, that anti-smear control in it that isn't natural, because they have really harsh chemicals in it also. And that's something that you don't think about when you're touching all the time.
I mean, I'm thinking about it now, like some of these products are bright blue.
Yes.
Like that should really tell us that that's not okay. Like antifreeze bright blue when it's poison.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I guess if it doesn't look natural, then it probably isn't.
It's probably not natural. But you guys are also involved in a VOC-Free petition as well.
Yeah, so again, that was really to raise awareness for VOCs and the harm that they're having on the environment. And the idea of that is so that we can get super yacht crew and also now from people that we're working with in other industries to sign the petition, so that we can actually get to a point where we can actually lobby for that to be changed for the products that are being manufactured by other manufacturers as well, so that we're actually able to protect people and the environment.
And we'll put like all the links and everything for people to sign that petition as well. So what little things can people do on board just to make like a really simple change right now to improve their own health and environmental health when it comes to cleaning?
Yeah, of course. I would say, well, first thing would be obviously swap your cleaning products. If you're on a vessel where you can't do that, make sure that if you are cleaning with products like that, that it's really well ventilated and that you're taking breaks and that you're wearing the right PPE equipment. So that, for example, like you were saying about your friend that was cleaning the galley, that you've got the right equipment on and that you're not absorbing those chemicals into your skin. And then I think just discussing it with people, and the more people talk about it, and the more that you can talk to your crew about it and actually create awareness for it, the more the culture is going to change. And we are starting to see it. But yeah, I think it's just creating more of awareness for it and educating people right from the bottom, from like the green crew all the way up.
And I think that's a really important thing, is talking about that education of it. And it's like you came up with this because you had that experience of someone saying to you, if you mix this with this,
of course,
or if you wash with water, if you've got this in your eye, that's going to be harmful. But I kind of wonder where the responsibility then lies for teaching that.
100%. And I do think that this is something that needs to be massively addressed. And I think especially super yacht crew in the environment that you're in, it's not an environment where you can really say, no, I'm not doing that, or I don't want to do that, because you could just get fired, or you'd be scared of that happening. And I think especially green crew coming in, if you're told to use a product and this is how we do it, that's how it's done and you're going to do it. So I think it's both levels. I think it's teaching people before they get on to super yachts and when they're training to work on super yachts of the effects of these chemicals, and then also training like HODs, so like chief officers, chief stews and captains, so that you're really doing it all together and it's a combined effect that we're having. And the same with whether it's crew, management companies or suppliers, also just protecting each other and looking out for each other more.
So, I mean, we are talking more and more about crew welfare, crew health. We've just had Glenn from Super Yacht Fitness on, and we're having all these incredible conversations about keeping crew fit, keeping crew mentally healthy. But, part of that also has to be looking at the environment,
of course,
around you. We talk about nutritional health, thinking about your nutrition. And now I'm sat here thinking, well, also thinking about the tools that you are given to do your job. Because those tools could be harming you.
100%. And it's like, if you had a crew member that was smoking 20 cigarettes a day, they would most likely be people that would be fine, for a fact.
You can't just stand around smoking.
No, exactly. But then why is it okay to give someone that same damage and lasting effect just because they're working on a yacht?
I will never get over that fact. Like, actually, like, this is like smoking cigarettes as an avid non-smoker.
That's the same as me. It's so scary.
Smoking.
So
what would your advice be, for captains, for your heads of department right now who are sat there on their boats now that we've terrified them?
I think be open to change and to trialing and testing new things. And I think just because sometimes you've always used a product throughout the whole of your career doesn't necessarily mean it's the right product, and there is better alternatives out there. So I think creating an environment where you're open to trialing and testing products. And then two, I think speaking to like crew and communicating with like the crew that are below you. And if they've got, for example, products that they're wanting to use, or if they've got concerns, I think opening that up as well so that you can have a conversation about it and change the culture.
And what are the next steps for Washdown then? Like, is it focusing on that kind of education and culture side of it? New products coming out? I mean, I've got some of the products here because I use it to clean my glasses. It's amazing. I don't know how my glasses look so good, but they do. And this is actually one of the only products that I found that does it. Like smear them, to be honest. So I am converted to very biased in this. But what's the next steps for you? Is there going to be more products that you're coming out with to try and kind of solve those issues, or is it within education?
So we're both really. So around education, we're going to be doing more events around education, but then we'll be launching more products, and we're also expanding into other markets from the success we've had in this market. So we're actually launching a home range, so you can actually bring that super yacht kind of finish to your home. But and then offering more products. So we're going to be doing more products for the interior and laundry as well shortly.
And I suppose going into the home as well, you're going into villas.
Exactly.
Well, because there's such a connection between super yacht crew and villa staff as well. A lot of especially those with the bigger yachts, they have villas as well. And we do quite often get them asking, like, I want the same thing that I have on my yacht in my home, etc. So there's a great
Yeah.
overlap between those two.
Yeah,
as well.
100%. So yeah, we're now targeting, for example, hospitality, with the home range, obviously super yachts and aviation.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. Yeah, thank you for so much for
Thank-
coming and terrifying me.
Sorry.
Terrified to clean. Well, like I said, I don't really clean, but I'm terrified for my other half. I think I am going to go back and check all of my
check all this.
and we will obviously put the details of Washdown and that VOC-Free petition up on the socials as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.